All right, so this section talked about just renaming columns, right? And so when we have data frames, it's not mandatory that our names follow some kind of convention, but it's generally good practice. And we typically see throughout the data science community kind of a common approach to having names formatted within data frames. So to kind of illustrate, let's go ahead and pull in this Ames data that you saw in the lesson. And you can see that all of our columns are title case, and we even have some odd type of capitalization going on. Where's a good example here, such as we got this basement fin. So we've got, part of names combined together, then we got a space, and then we got all caps, and then a number, and so on. Right, so typically what we like to see is often names of columns are lowercase, and then we typically don't have spaces in between parts of a name. Right, now this isn't mandatory. We can still work with our names in this convention that we see how they are when we import them here. But common convention and good practices, typically we see them as lower. So we can lowercase through the string accessor functions. And we can even take this, so we can go ahead and now we're going to access the replace function, where we're going to take any kind of spaces and we're going to replace them with underscore. And there's a whole bunch of ways that we can work with strings and manipulate them, and we'll see more of that in future modules, in future lessons, right? But what I could do is I could take this, can now save my reformatted names, new column names, and then all I need to do is take Ames and the columns, right? So recall that the columns provides the original column names, and what I could do is just assign to that the new col names. And now what we see in Ames, all of our column names have been reformatted to have this kind of convention. Now in the reading, we did see that we can, if we want to rename just a few variables at a time, sometimes we can use the rename function, right? And rename basically takes a dictionary, and this dictionary is going to be basically saying, well, take the current name, MS zoning, and I want to map this to some other name. Now I'm not exactly sure what MS zoning is, but maybe I want to have this a longer, more descriptive name or something. Let's just go ahead and say municipality. I don't know if this is what it stands for, zoning, and I can do that. Now here's the thing you need to remember. When we use rename, we always have to specify columns. When we're renaming columns, we always need to specify columns and assign to this parameter our input of the dictionary. Right? And so when we do this, we can see that we change this municipality, right? The original MS zoning is now this municipality zoning, okay? But here's the thing you need to remember. If we don't use this columns, right, we can run into an unexpected result, right? Because the default, and I can illustrate this with, let's go ahead and just look at the first 5 rows, right? Well, if I take this and I say rename, and I don't assign to columns, and I just provide a dictionary, right? What this is actually expecting to do is to rename the index values, right? And I can show you this by saying, well, 0 is going to be A, and 1 is going to be B, and 2 is going to be C, and so on. And if I run that, now you can see we changed those 3 index values. So just remember that when we use rename, and we're going to do this for column names, that you need to specify columns and assign the dictionary to that parameter.